towards unions, saying they are determined to carry out retrenchments. The SABC, in its June Section 189 notice, said that as many as 600 full-time workers could be retrenched. The unions have accused the SABC of unreasonably refusing unions an extension to the labour consultation process. CWU General-Secretary Aubrey Tshabalala says that their members are planning to embark on industrial action.
We have been having discussions, and we have confirmed as labour movement that indeed we need to take an industrial action looking at the situation as it faces us today.
Has things broke down such a way that this has led to a strike being embarked on? Talk to us about your consultation, your engagements with the SABC thus far that led you to this decision.
Basically, to summarize it, is that the SABC management refused to engage on discussion. They took Section 189 process as a ticking box exercise. What they've done is that at the first initial stages, they presented a corporate plan that was questioned, and they came up with another corporate plan which was questioned again. On the last meeting that we had, they also presented a corporate plan which was questioned, but they don't respond to the questions that have been raised. They basically go out and come up with a corporate plan. Now, the Section 189, the intent and purpose is that two parties must meet to mitigate or try to avoid retrenchment by throwing in alternatives. Now, you can only throw alternatives on something that has been clarified to you. So in absence of that, SABC has just given an ultimatum, sheer arrogance, to say that we must give our proposals on things that they did not confirm in terms of that process. So we are therefore at that particular stage, and we see that if we do not take a serious action around that, they will undermine even the inputs that we have already submitted to SABC today. So that is the danger that we are facing.
So what have you submitted today?
Well, look, first and foremost, there are questions that we are raising around their corporate plan, and fundamental questions are as follows. In the new structure that they presented, it appears to us that it's no longer a cutting cost exercise, but you can see that the structure will be bloated at top, and the people that will suffer is at the entry level. When you bloat the structure on top, we've asked questions. Can you therefore cost that structure? In other words, when there's a new position that has been created, what will be the cost of that position? And if the cost is high, so it defeats the initial purpose around the structure, which is about cost-cutting prices. But two, in our program, what we presented in Parliament is consistent with what we are presenting to SABC. We're talking about creating new revenue streams, because there's no need for you to just cut costs and then you don't have another plan. So it means that every year you ought to cut staff, you ought to go to government and ask for bailouts. That's what we are fighting for. We want a self-sustainable institution that will be competitive in terms of international broadcasting. But the third point, we are talking more online revenue. The research is telling us that 70% of the advertisers have migrated from conventional broadcasters into the online stream. So that's a space that we ought to create. The third point is about the collecting of the TV licensing. As things stands now, that thing is not beneficial to SABC. Many people are still not paying, and we are saying you cannot outsource that. Rather, modernize it so that the collecting of these TV licenses become effective. So it's a number of things that along that I'm just summarizing them.
Meanwhile, Labour Union BEMAWU says that they have directed their lawyers to file interdicts at Labour Court for SABC to not continue issuing termination letters without further consultations with the unions. Earlier, we spoke to BEMAWU's President, Hannes Duboysen.
We have sent the letter on Friday. The deadline was for 12 o'clock yesterday, and in that letter we wanted the SABC to confirm that they will not proceed with the Section 189 process, terminating employees' contracts. They will not proceed with the Section 189 process without any further consultation. We have requested previously from the SABC that we want to extend consultation because we believe that we have not remotely finished the process of bona fide proper consultation as contemplated and envisaged in the Section 189 of the Labour Relations Act. We have received no reply from the SABC whatsoever, except confirmation that we heard via news this morning that they confirmed they have in fact received the letter. So absolutely no courtesy reply even to say that they have received the letter, they're busy looking at it and they will respond. So if they're not going to respond to the letter, we are, as we speak, we are currently drafting papers which will be served on them tomorrow morning or during the day, and in that that will be an application in the Labour Court where we want to ask for an order for the SABC to not proceed to issue termination letters and to come back to the table to properly consult with labour unions and employees in terms of the Section 189 process.
All right, so just to understand, before you head over to the Labour Court, how long are you giving the SABC to respond?
They should have responded by 12 yesterday. Right, so they have not responded, and we have now requested and instructed our lawyers to proceed with an interdict application.
Right, so that goes ahead. Is a strike possible?
Well, it's one of the two. In terms of us in particular, we are not proceeding with a strike. I believe that one of the other unions are busy organizing a strike. So a party can only exercise one of the two options. We have opted for the Labour Court. So if there's other parties that wants to opt for a strike, it is perfectly within their right, and that would be a protected and lawful strike.
While the SABC has confirmed it received a letter from BEMAWU for an extension to the Section 189 consultation process, the corporation says that it will directly respond to the concerns and issues raised by the union in its letter. SABC says that management has presented the proposed structure to the unions as part of the consensus-seeking consultation process. Although the Section 189 process is concluded and the consulting parties have not made any submissions on their alternatives within the Section 189 consultation process. In the interest of the possible affected employees, the SABC says that it has allowed the consulting parties to make one last written submission regarding proposals to the structure or alternatives for the SABC to consider.